Hello, Tracy Ariel here, and this is Sunday, September 19th, as I record this. We are in Canada in the midst of a federal election. This is the first time ever that all of the major parties that are, actually all the parties that are competing actually have a climate change statement in their platforms. It's the first time that we've had diversity represented in the leaders who are actually in the debates. Although, funny enough, we didn't get to see that in Quebec because the French language debate only included 3 of the 5 leaders nationally, which I think really sucks. And what else is happening? So everybody, I worked for the federal election last weekend for Election Canada, 4 days, 62 hours in 4 days. It was excruciating and rewarding and frustrating, and thanks to Alex and the entire team that I worked with for making it livable. No thanks to some of the people who were running the campaign for making it even harder than it had to be. They were dealing with a lot of things last weekend. There's a scam out there, I don't know if anybody knows, but if you want to get assistance in going to the federal election, you can actually call Elections Canada and they will assign volunteers to come and pick you up and take you to the election. Well, scammers have discovered this, and some of them decided that they would charge seniors and other vulnerable people $11 for this free service. And so Elections Canada officials were busy going to all sorts of residences and explaining to people that no, this is a free service, it's done by volunteers, and please don't pay for it because the scammers who are charging you are not doing anything at all. So that was pretty horrific to find out that people are taking advantage of vulnerable and old people and seniors like they have in the past. Really sorry to hear that, and I hope it's discouraged everywhere. Other things that are happening in election news, I don't know if basically there's going to be, the polls are open tomorrow between 9 and 9, and if you haven't voted yet, please do, because as long as you get there by 9 o'clock, just regardless of how long it takes, you will get your vote in. And as someone who, there was a huge lineup and people did not think that everybody would get in for the advanced polls last week. It's funny how people come in, you know, for the last hour and a half. But everybody who was there got to vote, and it was very, very fast. We were all done by 9. The voting itself was done by about 9:30, 9:45, and we were out of there by about 11. I always finished the evening at about midnight. And also COVID, people are being very, very, very careful. Actually, one of the other things that was good about the election for me is I discovered that Dollarama, believe it or not, has great, what do they call it? Visors. So if you wear a face mask and if you want to wear a visor, because we're about to move inside for all sorts of activities, it's only $4 for this great visor that's like little glasses and then a flat visor that you attach to the glasses, and it worked like a charm. Way better than the ones that we were provided with in our kits, and so I was very, very happy about that, because no fogging up. As you can see, I wear glasses, and there was no fogging up with this visor on top of them, and with the mask and the visor I felt really protected. People were also social distancing. This year you'll notice that at the poll booth there's only one person, there's one scrutineer taking your vote, and that's to make sure that people are not too close to each other. So there's no secretary anymore. It means that they've set up another desk so that if there are people who have to register, or if there are people who have questions about where their polling booth is or other things like that, there's a special desk for that to try and save the scrutineers some time. So I hope that you vote, and I hope that regardless of who you vote for, or even if you spoil the ballot, go out and vote, because it's important that people know that Canadians care about the people who represent them. Even if they don't have a choice, you can always spoil your vote by voting for all of them or voting for none of them. But just make sure you go and vote, so that we don't have a situation where people think, where our officials think that people don't care about them. and about being represented by the right people, even if a whole lot of us are dismayed by the choices that we have for representatives at the moment. The other thing that I was shocked to learn at this week is that Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick have decided not to call a holiday for the National Truth and Reconciliation Day on Thursday, September 30th. The federal government has declared September 30th a national holiday. Every year, people will get that off in the federal governments and in all of the provinces, other than Quebec, Ontario, New Brunswick, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. Shame on you for not joining the National Truth and Reconciliation Day. This movement is long. It seems like one day to give up one day for such a big, important issue. It seems to me the least we can do, and I'm really dismayed that certain provincial governments have decided not to do it. So on the podcast, I'm really excited. This season is shaping up to cover a lot of issues that I really care about. My first interview, which this is an interview that I did last year, really at the end of the year. So this is with Irene Moore Davis. She is an author and a historian in Windsor, Ontario. She's been involved in some national campaigns to try and to add historical plaques to place names, street names in all over the country, so that we can show that some of our traditional leaders were slaveholders. Some of them were rampant racists, and rather than taking down the place names, she advocates adding information about who these people were, so that we can recognize that we have a history of shame and systemic racism, and we just need to recognize that and stop it, because it's just not okay. Coming up in the podcast, I have some other great interviews. I have Allison Knott, who's a rebrand and web specialist. I have Linda Peers, who runs a company, a really growing company in the health sector. I have Christine Sawyer, who is actually someone who helps you with your own health struggles. Carolyn McKenna, who is a food advocate here. She's getting good, healthy food in schools and hospitals, and she talks about how difficult that is to do on the ground. It's really an inspiring discussion. I have a conversation with Reed Alloway. He is one of the people on a farm that ran a Kickstarter campaign in order to get funding to turn their electric truck, or turn their regular truck into an electric vehicle. And that's really exciting, because I think it just shows what you can do if you really believe in helping the environment the best way you can. And last but not least, the other interview that I have already to go, and that will be coming in the coming weeks, is one with Janice Hamilton. She looks at some of her ancestors who were known for investigating the occult in between the First and Second World Wars. And this particular interview is really telling, and it talks about, it's very important for all of us to hear, because it talks about how much, basically it shows how much trauma can hurt people and make them investigate things that they get calm and closure in ways that people are very judgmental about. And I was shocked about this story, not just because of the really interesting investigations that they tried to take the occult and turn it into a scientific investigation, but you still see a whole lot of people being very, very nasty about what they were trying to do, and they I think that they mistook some of the fun and games that they were having with people they saw every single week for years. I think they were investigating how photography worked, and they played a lot of games that people took seriously. But it's pretty clear from the documents that no fraud was committed. So I don't understand why people are so judgmental about it, but I really think that it'll be a really interesting interview for you to hear about. Another example of why history really matters. And I'm so looking forward to hearing what you think about it all. And that's it for me today. It's Sunday, September 19th, 2021, and please go out and vote tomorrow. Thanks.